going in with a bunch of crazed dogs.
My camera. How about them Giants? How about them Giants? How about them Giants?
Woo! What's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of Giants Rush, where, we talk Giants football pretty much every single week. Yeah, we take a week off here and there, but yep, we are that podcast that you love to hate, and we're back. We're back. Not that we ever left. We're back this week. I should have Ryan Dunleavy on from the Post. I got a surprise guest. We like to call him Nails. He's back with us for a week to see what we're up to, because you know what? Maybe he's a fair weather fan and he only checks in when they win. I don't think that's true. You can take that up with him. Let's launch into this. The Giants. I see you guys piling in the room, so I know a lot of you guys are on vacation or you're still traveling with family, so I appreciate you guys hanging out. Giants beat the Raiders on the road 34-10. And listen, whether you're upset about the draft pick or not, I do believe, and I stress, I do believe that a young quarterback is trying to galvanize this team. Jaxson Dart wants to win. He wants to compete, and he wants to show this team that he's the guy that's going to help turn this franchise around. So I'm not crushed. I'm not crushed by not having the first pick. What I'm excited about is Jaxson Dart taking control of this team and saying, I'm the guy, right? I'm the guy. I'm going to be here. I want this opportunity. And he wants to show his teammates that he can lead. So I'm fine with the way it worked out. It is what it is. So I'm happy that the team responded after flying across, the country, which, by the way, we all know could have turned out bad, right? They just could have all went the Tank Bowl, and they could have done that. We know it wasn't, the Raiders didn't have their best players on the field, or either did the Giants. The Giants had 6 guys put on injured reserve between Nubin and AT and a bunch of guys. So I think it was pretty equally distributed on the quote unquote, take it easy for the rest of the season. Dart, 22 for 30 for 207, 9 rushes for 48 yards and 2 TDs. Tracy chips in 14 carries for 62 yards. Singletary, 8 for 45 and a touchdown. And, of course, we'll get into Wan Dale, 11 receptions for 113 yards. And as you guys know, what always makes this fun is
it's good to be the king.
Yep, always good to be the king. And, of course, welcome back to the show. Now, again, this is a little bit older of an intro, so I'm looking for – this is the best one I got for him right now.
No Coach Steve Austin, he is the man. Well, the Cats to toughen up is over here and give themselves a beer bath.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, what's up, Craig? I'll take it, Craig. It's good. It's good.
You'll take the win?
I'll take the win. I'll take the intro. Both good.
All right, perfect. I love it. Well, welcome back. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, so you're hanging out with us for tonight. We're going to talk Giants football. I'm hoping Ryan shows up. Maybe he's a little bit late. Ryan, if you're out there, we hope you are coming on. I'm looking at my phone. I don't see anything, so you might have a couple things going on, and maybe you're just running a little bit late. So, Chris, let's start off let me pop this over here so I can see my comments. What's up, Daniel? I see you're in the room. What's up? See you guys are popping in now a little bit. By the way, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah to all you folks out there, in holiday land. I know this is a big week for people to take off. So in between the holidays, and you know what? I'm cool with that. I like the fact that people get some time to spend with their family, but we're still going to start the show off. I'm going to hold studs and duds till Ryan shows up, right? Because we always start the show with studs and duds. Let's start off with Dart, Chris. This is what he said before the game. I am not Joe Flacco. Did you see that quote?
No, I didn't see that. What did he mean by that?
Okay. So there's all this conversation about protecting Dart and, getting him to slide and everything like that. And he came out and said, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not Joe Flacco. I've never played this way. I've never been a pocket passer. Please don't make me a pocket passer. Don't try to make me a pocket passer. This is my game. And this is what he's been doing through high school, through at USC, at Ole Miss, and now with the Giants. This is his game. Yes, this is the pros. But I wanted this. So to answer your question is, he was basically making a statement that this is the way he plays. You can't change him. What's your thoughts?
You know what? You don't want him to change his game, Craig. You just want him to be smarter. And what I noticed yesterday, when he went out of bounds, he got out of bounds. He could have taken those couple extra steps. And I think yesterday the message got through, getting down and getting out of bounds on the sideline. So, yeah, you don't want to take him out of his game. You just want him to be smarter about it. Don't fight for the extra yard. Get out of bounds. And I think you saw that on the sideline yesterday. So, I think over time he's going to mature with that and understand that he needs to, self-preservation, right? He's going to have a longer career by being smarter.
And you know what, Chris? That's the way listen. Baker Mayfield started that way. Pat Mahomes started that way. They will mature, right? But he is making a point that please don't take my legs away from me. And as you can see yesterday, he had 9 rushes for 48 yards. That's what you need. And for all the people out there, like on Twitter, like some guy was going crazy today at me. Is like, he doesn't have the arm strength, and he's not going to pocket passer, and he's not this, he's not that. Like, we don't need to go down this road again. He's not a pocket passer. I've said a million times, he's that Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes type of body, a body of work, right? He's going to step in and out of sacks. He's going to move horizontal in the pocket, right? So the quote is, I'm not Joe Flacco. I'm glad that he said that because I like the fact that he's sticking up for himself.
Yeah, I mean, he can't play in glass, right? He's just got to be smarter. Just got to. Even when the coverage was tight when he took off for the touchdown, that wasn't a design play. That was on him, and he was smart about it. It was wide open, and he took it, and that's what you want to see, right? If the coverage
one up the middle, or the one where we rolled to the pylon.
The one up the middle, and
he took a shot for it.
He did take a shot for it, but the coverage was tight, and it was wide open in front of him. And if it's there, he's going to take it, and that's what you want him to do. You don't want him to pass up an opportunity,
exactly.
for yardage.
Exactly. We got to just stop with the bubble wrap stuff. This kid's making plays and people are complaining about it. Like, it's so hard to find a quarterback. It's so hard to find a quarterback that can play in New York. And it's hard to find a quarterback that can play in New York and generate excitement. And he's done all 3.
Yeah. I think what happens too, when you're running down the middle, when you have the ball, you can go down, you can slide or go head first. But I think on the sideline, that's where I'm concerned about, because you have linebackers coming from that other angle where he can just get totally popped and leveled like he did in the New England game. That's where I think, where the NFL has said, if you're going to be in bounds, they're allowed to take a shot. Because I think Patrick Mahomes a few years ago, he played cat and mouse with the defender. He'd go to the sideline, they lay off him thinking he's going to go out of bounds, and he would take the extra yardage. So I think that memo's out to the quarterbacks that if you are between the lines and you don't get out of bounds, there's no playing around. You're open game. So I think that's the part I'm concerned. Just get out of bounds on that sideline.
And Mr. Dunleavy's here. We're going to bring him in a second. Last thing I'll say on that is, all I want him to do, by the way, not even going to try to change his game, but what I do notice is, I don't know if you know what a speed flex is, right? So a lot of these guys wear the speed flex, okay? It's not a snap, it's a rivet, it's a pull system, right? It's got a ratchet system on the helmet that makes it tighter. It's a speed flex helmet, where we used to, like back in our day, me and you playing, we had snaps, right? And they still have snaps, of course, right? But a lot of them use these speed flex helmets. His helmet's never tight. His helmet is either off, sideways, it's this way. Like, I'm like, dude.
Well, that's yesterday. He had a different chin strap on. His chin strap is different. So I don't know
he
if
had that extra padding in there, right? Yeah. So, well, let's bring in the guy who actually knows what he's talking about. That music never gets old.
It doesn't. No, I really like it. I know nothing about chin straps, so we should move off that topic.
Yeah. I was just complaining that, like, not complaining, but all day I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter. I try not to do it. I don't know why I took the bait today. I'm usually more mature than that. But there's so many things that are just silly, non-educated things that are being said. Now, it's cool that people have opinions, Ryan. I was making the point, and Chris, who joined us today, we were talking about, yes, get out of bounds when you're on the sideline, which he did a good job yesterday. But when he gets rocked in the end zone, I'm noticing, the helmet is askew. And I'm always like, how do we get this guy's helmet to be tight?
Yeah, that's good. I kind of like it, though. It makes it look like it's old school football. You know what I mean? He's got to tighten it before, like he's got to straighten it before the next snap and run into a brick wall again. Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't want him running in any brick walls, but that beside the point. Yesterday was a little bit fun as you were.
It's a victory podcast.
Yes. Yeah. By the way, our first one of the year together.
Yes. Yeah. I started right after their last win, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. We're hoping you come back and you stay with us, and we will have more wins. But what I said, Ryan, and I get your.
There's a better chance of me coming back than there are more wins. So.
Oh, damn it! Well, what I was gonna say was, before you totally poured cold water on me, was what I did like about yesterday. Stinker Bowl. We've got guys on injury reserve. Yeah. They're not playing Max Crosby. The whole thing. What I do tend to fall back on, and tell me if I'm crazy here. Jaxson Dart wants to win and show the fan base in this team he can lead, and he's the right guy. So, like, I feel he wants to galvanize the team, and I think that's what a young quarterback would want to do. No,
agreed. Well, so I'll start with the hot water, then I'll throw the cold water. Totally agree. I think it's a win that you can be happy about for the players who I'm in the locker room every day. They were carrying the weight of a 9-game losing streak, of a 13-game road losing streak. Football at its heart is supposed to be fun. It was not fun for this team. They had the life sucked out of them. So by all accounts, they had a great plane ride home. They needed that. Just, the organization needed that. Just the toxicity around the franchise. It needed a cooling off period. We need to be talking about Jaxson Dart doing good things today, and not about, Charlie Bullen blowing this call or Mike Kafka blowing that call or whatever. They totally dominated the Raiders. They showed they might be the two win teams in the league, but they're not even in the same class. So that was good. And Dart, I think, to your point, like, showed he wanted to win. He ran when it was at the goal line. He put his head down and he trucked over people for points. That's what he should do when you smell the end zone. When it was on the sideline, I can remember at least once where he stepped out of bounds, and he could have probably got another yard or two, but he stepped out of bounds. That's a sign of progress and learning. That's when you do not take an unnecessary hit. So he played well. There were some designed runs. So they took the handcuffs off the designed runs that they had scrapped for the last couple of weeks. Now the cold water. Were you guys doing this podcast or this show on December 28th, 2019?
Let me think about that for a second. So 2019 is technically 6 years ago. Yes, it was.
Go back and watch the episode you did that day and tell me how you feel about Daniel Jones. Like, he threw 5 touchdowns in the rook against the Commanders, and we won 41-35 to end his rookie year. Like, he wants to win. We feel great about our rookie quarterback. He's going to carry that momentum into next year. Like, we're rolling. He's the guy. like 20-something touchdown passes. He's just got to cure this fumbling thing that he has. And he never was that good ever again until this year on the Colts. So I'm not going to get too like, yeah, Jaxson Dart looked good, but I'm not going to get carried away into thinking that like that goes into next year or his future, or he's the guy off one game against the stinky Raiders, because it didn't mean anything for Daniel Jones when he played dynamic against the stinky Commanders in the Chase Young Bowl.
I remember that too. Cause like, yeah, you did have some hope for Jones. At that point, it was like a launching point that never happened.
He was good. His rookie numbers were good. He had like 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions or something like that. He just fumbled too much, but he was good and he was throwing to Benny Fowler and Russell Shepard and Cody Latimer. Like he was promising.
That's rough. Chris, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with Ryan. Hey, Ryan, long time. But Ryan, the one feeling you get when you do watch Jaxson Dart compared to Daniel Jones, you never got the feeling that he made everybody else around him. And he did have Barkley. You get the feeling that with Dart, with the weapons that he has, he does make the other guys appear to play better or be better. So I get the feeling that, Dart may not be this top 5 quarterback, but from what we've seen this year, I do get the feeling that he makes the guys around him better. And that's one thing you never really got with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, you always felt like he needed the surrounding cast. Where Dart's playing with a bunch of mishmash guys, especially on offense, and I feel like he gives them opportunities and they play better around him. That's just my feeling on what I see.
I'll say this. Number one, I kind of agree with that. I think he understands his teammates' strengths and doesn't treat everybody the same, which, if you're in schoolyard, you're supposed to treat everybody the same. On the football field, you're not supposed to treat everybody the same. So I think he understands, like, you lead this receiver, but you throw it up high to this receiver, or, whatnot. You want to pitch it to Tracy, but you want to put it in the gut of Singletary. Like, I think he understands all that stuff. So I think that's true. I think his attitude and his personality rubs off on people, and that makes them better. Like, Daniel Jones, for the most part, especially off the field, was, calm, cool, collected. Jaxson Dart is kind of a fireball. That's why he and Dayball hit it off. So I think there's a part of that guys like. I mean, football is an intense, emotional, smack you in the mouth sport. I don't think that it worked for Eli Manning to always have, Eli face. I don't think that everybody needs to have Eli face, and Jaxson Dart's way is to be a little bit more Baker Mayfield-ish. And I think that rubs off on guys. Yeah. And then I'll say this. I think obviously it wasn't the case yesterday, but Daniel Jones did not get to play a lot towards the end of his career with Andrew Thomas. Other than yesterday, Dart has played with Andrew Thomas, and nobody on the Giants makes everybody around him better more than Andrew Thomas. He is the ultimate, like, standard raiser for the Giants. Like,
and we even see that with the guard play. One more thing, Ryan, going into next year, whatever offensive system it may be, whatever the offensive coordinator or head coach it is, what I'd like to see is Dart get under center more and really use that play action, because I think that's going to be one piece of arsenal in his back pocket that I like to see next year, is use that play action to bring those linebackers up and really, begin to pick things apart downfield. So I hope that's a case where it's not shotgun, 60% of the time, 70% of the time.
It's a good point. I've given it zero thought. Now that you say that, I'll look into his play action numbers. I've given it absolutely zero thought. But yes, I do think, look, I'm a big proponent of, as a coach, it's your job to take what your players do and make them better, and not jam a square peg into a round hole, whatever that saying is. Right. So, like, if somebody comes in who has a play action based offense, that's fine. But it's clear that Dart is comfortable in the shotgun. It's what he did at Ole Miss. So you're going to have to find the 50-50 balance.
Well, let's do this. We always start the show, for all you folks that are new, we always start the show with studs and duds. We don't have Chris. We don't have Truth. We don't have Sean. It's us three. We're gonna hold it down, though. So we're going to go into where we normally start the show. We did talk a little bit about Dart early on, and we needed to. You know why? Because of what he did last week. He needed to get that monkey off his back. And again, the quote is, I am not Joe Flacco. I'm actually thinking about making T-shirts up that say, I am not Joe Flacco, because that is just very cool for the young guy to say, don't change my game because I'm better when you don't change my game. I know we have to protect him from himself sometimes, but he is going to be the best if he's playing the way he's comfortable. Let's get into studs and duds. Boom. Start the show off, studs and duds. Pretty simple. Stud, give me a dud. Chris, I'm starting with you. I mean, we're starting. Just give me your stud of the game. Like that person that either you knew was going to be a stud, maybe someone that surprised you, maybe it's an unsung hero. Who's your stud of the game?
Well, there's a few out there, and I'm not going to mention any of their names. I mean, I'll go with one of the obvious ones. Let's give it to Wan Dale. He had 11 receptions for 113 yards. Over 1,000 yards for the season. There are other guys on here. I'll go with Wan Dale. This may be the last 2 games we see of him. He just probably earned himself a really big contract. Dud, very hard to find. I'll say
hold your dud. Hold
okay.
it. Hold
the duds. It's been a while.
Hold the dud.
It's been a while. All right.
Hold the dud. Yeah. Don't be a rookie.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. So, Ryan, you want me to just toss it to you? I mean, his was pretty straightforward because he is the stud of the game pretty much. So if I don't, again, and I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go because I've been hard on this guy all year. And it's, I don't know if you believe it, Ryan, Chris. I don't know if you guys look into certain things, why things happen, or you just, that's the way it happens. Bobby Okereke has not had a good year. Just did not have a good year. I don't know if he's into politics. He's checking out. He's going to get cut. I don't know what it is. Last week, he had a really good game, right? So I got to give him my stud because they were marching down the field. They're in the red zone or pretty much right outside the red zone. He picks a ball off, returns it 50 yards. Again, and the reason why, yes, this is a play he probably, that he should have made all things, but I don't know if he makes that play 3 weeks ago. I just don't, because he's been nowhere to be found. And then last week, he has his best game of the year, follows it up with another great game. And that, to me, was the momentum changer. That play changed the momentum for the Giants. So I'm going to give my stud of the game to Okereke. 7 tackles, 1 interception, 1 pass defended. I'm going to go with Bobby O for this week.
Good choice. I agree. I guess.
Come on, you got something there.
I'm so used to combing through losses to find one bright spot.
You can go with the quarterback.
I mean, he played really well. I just feel like we just talked about. Okay, I'll go with the quarterback because it was a great bounce back game, and then I'll give you an honorable mention. The quarterback was great. 22 of 30, 207. 2 rushing touchdowns. Like we just said a minute ago, he was smart about his rushing, didn't take unnecessary hits. I think he got popped once, but it was kind of necessary. Like, I love his touchdown celebration after the run. I love his attitude. I love the he's learning when to take hits and when not to. What did he finish with on the ground? 9 for 48 on the ground.
Yep.
I think there were what, 2 or 3 designed runs in there. So they weren't afraid to do that anymore. So yeah, Dart is my stud, but I'll throw the honorable mention to Abdul Carter because I just don't think. I think if it was 2000, we'd have such a different viewpoint before next gen, before analytics, before RPMs in baseball and exit velo.
Yeah, war.
I think we'd have such a skewed view of Abdul Carter. He finished yesterday with what? It wasn't impressive. A half a sack and 3 tackles. But he had 9 pressures and
9.
Jordan, and that's his second straight game with 9. And Jordan Renan put out a stat today.
Yes.
from ESPN that it's the second most pressures by a rookie in the next gen stats era, which is about a decade. And basically, one of the Bosa brothers Nick, I think, is the only one ahead of him, which means that Abdul Carter has more quarterback pressures as a rookie than Micah Parsons, who's the guy he gets compared to all the time. And Micah obviously had 11 sacks or 10 sacks as a rookie. So that's the number that gets you paid at the end of the day is sacks, not pressures. But the numbers are there that tells you that if you believe in coin flips evening out, that a 14 sack season is coming next year.
I actually do, by the way. I do believe that because you got to be able to scheme the guy free, right? Like I said a couple times, like when they stunt him from the outside and then he comes into the A gap and comes up the middle, he's open. There's nobody touches him because he's so fast.
And you finally see Bullen utilizing him. I mean, Bowen really didn't utilize him the way Bullen is. So I give him credit for being creative with him, putting over the center, standing up, around. These are things that you wanted to see for the first, 14, 15 games.
Now, these guys aren't duds. These were, backup studs. But I do want to mention, I am the king of cold water, guys. I guess that's what I should.
Yeah,
that should
come on. Wait, you've been so good. Why you're reverting on me?
I guess I should be called the king of cold water. That's kind of you're the king, Craig, but I guess I'm the king of cold water because I do want to mention one thing. Some of the best players in this game, Okereke, Devin Singletary had the long run right before his touchdown, and probably I would agree Bobby made the biggest play of the game. Probably the second biggest play of the game was Deonte Banks' kick return. And what I do think is a bit of cold water is as we look like, it'll carry over to next season. Those three guys aren't going to be on the team next year. So I will say this win that, bumped their draft position and, Giants fans need therapy because they win meaningless games at the end of December and whatnot. I will say you'd feel a little different about it if the big plays were made by, I'm just going to name Drew Phillips, Darius Alexander, and
Bo. And Bo.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy or something. Yeah, Marcus Bowe. You'd feel a little different about it than three guys that are probably not going to be on the team next year. But okay, that's it. Let's go to Doug.
But that's actually not so bad. I'm okay. I'm okay with that because again, even though it's one kick return, he's killed us for 2 straight years. So one kick return is not making up for 2 years of terrible cornerback play.
No, but my point is he's not going to be on the team next year. So it's hard to even feel good about the one good thing he did. So.
Yeah. All right,
and he wasn't even drafted for that.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. It's like first round draft pick. Oh, he's been demoted to returning kicks. All right. Well, Chris, who's your dud?
It was really hard to find, but I was even looking at Gilliam. He had a 44-yard average, kicked one inside the 20. That would have been my likely, one maybe to go to. Even Banks, right? But I'm going to go to the non-player on that touchdown by Banks, where he came on the field and resulted in a 15-yard penalty on the extra point. The non-player that was in the celebration. If we're talking players, I'd give it to Banks because, again, bad coverage with Lockett. But you know what? They played so good. Give me the non-play.
Who was that? I got to figure that out. Does anybody have a clear? Hey, guys, any audience, any co-hosts here? If anybody has a clear shot of that, I haven't really seen a clear shot of that guy.
And Ryan, by the way, with roster management, Ben Sowles, we had a guy on the practice squad who then kicked a 48-yard extra point, and he's been doing great. You don't know what you have till you actually utilize your roster. I mean, the guy will probably come into camp next year and come for a job. But nice job by him yesterday, actually. But give me the non-player for the 15-yard penalty, whoever that was.
That's pretty funny.
I don't. I'm going to go with this guy again because I think my patience has run out with this cat. And I'm going to give it to Slayton because he just never makes a play. Yes, that guy made a great play against him in the end zone. I just know if that's CeeDee Lamb makes that catch. You know what I mean? If that's Chase, he makes that catch. There's nothing dynamic about this guy. And I know he's a great locker room guy. I know everybody likes him. He's not a jerk to anybody, right? Everybody but I'm just so tired of him not making plays. Of all the ones, I wanted him to make that play so I can be like, okay, it's in him, but it's not. It's just not. The best catch he had all year was on the 2-point conversion 2 weeks ago, right? I mean, where he literally fought through traffic, came forward, used his hands, snagged the ball. I just want to be like, dude, way to go. Way to step up. Way to carry the team and make a play. But it just never happens. And guess what? 11 receptions for 113 yards Wan Dale had yesterday. So you would think at some point in the game, the Raiders would start paying attention more to Wan Dale and Slayton would be open. But that doesn't happen either because he's never open. And if he is open, they can't throw it to him because he's going to drop it. So I got to give my dud with a little bit of, I kind of colored outside the lines there a little bit. But I'm giving my dud to Slayton because he's been such a disappointment every week.
Craig, I got to piggyback off that and ask Ryan a question. Ryan, he's due $16 million. That's the cap hit if they cut him. Let me ask you this: do you see them cutting him and breaking up that $16 million into 2 years? I can do 8 and 8, or do they just bury him a la Galladay and him as the fourth guy next year and just keep him on the roster for his salary? What do you think? Probably.
So that's a big question. So, all right. So that's a big question. And first of all, Wandale's not on the roster next year. So they have to re-sign Wandale just to get Darius down to and Hyatt's not going to be on the roster next year. So they have to re-sign Wandale just to get Darius Slayton down to 3. Because the minute the season ends, he's the number 2 receiver. So they have to re-sign Wandale just to get him down to 3. And then they probably need to add somebody else in the first or second round of the draft or a like mid-level free agent to get Slayton down to 4. That's what I would do. If they lose Wandale, they need to add 2 newcomers to bump Darius Slayton down to 4. So no, I do not see them just cutting him. If they could bump him down to the 4th receiver in the Jalen Hyatt role, I think they would. There is a scenario. I wrote about this yesterday or Friday. You just got to give me a minute.
Go ahead. I was hoping they'd trade his ass.
Well, that's it. There is a scenario in the contract where, if he's traded pre-June 1, the dead cap is $6 million for a $10 million cap savings. So could they trade him for like a 7th round draft pick? Basically just dump the salary and get nothing in return? I think they could do that. Like if they re-sign Wandale and add another guy where they have a different top 3, because they can't come back with Neighbors, Wandale, and Slayton as their top 3. So they've got to tweak that top 3 somehow. So
by the way, Ryan, hold that thought. That top 3 that you just referred to?
Yeah.
It's really not, because guess what? You don't know if Neighbors is going to be ready to go.
Correct.
You need a number 1 to potentially, in the beginning of the year.
Well, they would tell you Wandale's a number 1 to get by. That's what they would tell you. Okay. That's what they would tell you. But to get by, not for a whole season, but for 2 weeks or whatever, they would tell you that. So yeah, if you're asking me the most likely scenario, I would say that he's traded for take the $6 million dead cap. Maybe you have to pay off some of the whatever he's owed. What's he owed salary? Why he's owed $10 million in salary essentially. Maybe you have to kick in $2 million of that, and you get $8 million dead, 8 saved. I think they would do that. So, and you get nothing in return basically, but you get rid of him and
you won't have a lot of spot is what you get.
And then my dud would be, and I wrote about this on Friday too, or I guess Saturday. I know everybody's hot for Marcus Bowe. Giants fans are desperate for like a 5th round pick who hits Darius Slayton, a 5th round pick who hits and is like, look at this great value we had. Again, that was Darius Slayton. Marcus Bowe is possibly going to grow into that guy. I think letting Illuminor go and penciling in Marcus Bowe as like the starting right tackle next year is a little premature. Like he might be a year from that. You might want him to be the swing tackle for another year. I understand Illuminor wants to get paid, and that takes away a lot of salary cap. I understand that, but you might be rushing Marcus Bowe. You might be asking him to do more than he can, because yesterday he had been good, right? He had been good mostly off the bench this season. Yeah. He wasn't great against the Chiefs in extended action. Then he was pretty good against the Niners and the Vikings off the bench. And then yesterday, just using his PFF numbers, a sack, a hit, which I think is the same thing, a sack and a hit, 3 hurries and 5 pressures. So not very good. 5 pressures on 36 pass blocking snaps. That's not very good. And I think I would tell you that Runyon didn't look as good as he normally does either with Andrew Thomas next to him. So I think that Bowe was, he's a rookie. He's a 5th round rookie. He looked like a 5th round rookie yesterday. He didn't look like an unplayable player like Evan Neal looks, but he looked like a 5th round rookie.
Yeah, and as you just said, it even kind of rubs off on Runyon because he doesn't have Thomas there, which he's been playing next to for the last 14 weeks, right? So, you notice the difference when Thomas isn't there. And you know what? I think we're a little premature penciling in Bowe as a starter at any position.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I think you got a cheap swing tackle for next year, and maybe you got a cheap starter in 2027, but I wouldn't rush him into the starting lineup in 2026.
I agree with Ryan too, because now you're looking at your depth, right? So now let's say he plays tackle. Now depth becomes an issue once again, especially at the tackle position. Because although Andrew Thomas has played phenomenal this year, he has yet to still get through a full season healthy.
Correct.
So you got to count on him next year getting dinged up. It's just the pattern, a couple games. So you know what? You go with the sure thing, put the money into Illuminor, and you got Bowe coming off 2nd year, more experience, and you get some depth.
Mm-hmm. I like it. All right. Well, that was easy. Let's talk about this one since you've already brought it up. We've all brought it up. It's Wan Dale. Sign him or walk. Now, the question I have on Wan Dale, and I'm pretty sure you guys are both going to agree. Chris, my thought is that if Joe Schoen comes back, and there was I think Pat Leonard, which I can't even believe I said his name out loud. I should be flogged for that. He mentioned something about Shane coming back. If Shane's coming back.
Well, this all started with NFL Network putting up on their graphic yesterday that he's likely to remain with the Giants through the draft, which is very odd wording. Like, through the draft, what are they going to let him draft and then part ways with him in May? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, like, I don't really know what that means. Like, does that mean that he's going to do another year on a walk year without a contract extension? And, like, I don't really know what through the draft means, but I think Pat said this to your point. I would reiterate this. People who are close to people who are expected to be candidates. So let me say that again. People who are close to people who are expected to be candidates believe that Joe Schoen is going to be who their friend would be working for. So
how about this, Ryan? They bring in a guy like McCarthy who gets carte blanche with Shane, and basically Shane answers to let's say a guy like McCarthy.
That's what Ben Johnson. That's what happened with Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles, basically.
And then after the draft, it's whether they can work together. But maybe it's the reverse. Maybe it's not what we're used to, right? With the Giants, it's the head coach trumping the GM. Just
correct. The Giants have always operated the opposite way, but it hasn't got them anywhere in the last 10 years. So maybe they're open to a different structure. We don't know the answer to that because obviously ownership hasn't talked in a long time, and for good reason. So
yeah, what coach wants to come here, Ryan, with Shane on a 1-year deal unless they extend him, knowing that their neck could be on the line with a new GM coming in after a
correct,
year.
Unless it's written into their contract somewhere that they'll have say in the next GM.
Yeah, interesting. Right.
So let's wrap that back around the Wandale. I know if Shane is here, he's going to want to bring back the players that he drafted, so correct. He doesn't look like a dopus. So
I mean, that's his best pick. If you consider obviously Neighbors a better player, but you should get a good player at 6 overall. Like, his best pick is Wan Dale Robinson.
Yeah. So let's say, Ryan, that Shane doesn't come back, right? Just for this conversation. Does the next guy want Wandale, or is he rolling the dice?
It's impossible to say till you know where he comes from. Does he have an interest? So Wandale is the shortest wide receiver this century to reach 1,000 yards. He's the third shortest wide receiver since 1985 to reach 1,000 yards. So there is going to be some natural heightism that Wan Dale Robinson faces. He's faced it his whole life. Somebody is going to tell him like, oh, well, you don't fit the profile of a number one or number two receiver. I did some work today. You can read it in the post tomorrow. Please do, or online tonight. I asked people around the league. They seem to think Wandale will get a contract in the $16 million per year range. The floor would be $13 million because he has to exceed Darius Slayton. Non-negotiable that he would exceed Slayton. The high end would be Christian Kirk, $18 million.
Wow.
So they seem to think he's a $16 million a year receiver. Would the Giants be willing to pay that? I don't know. I think it depends what happens with Illuminor and what happens with Flott. But again, I don't think they need one receiver. If they lose Wandale, they need two. So I think they need Wandale plus one or two if they lose Wandale. So I don't know if there's a hometown discount. Usually there's not with second round picks because they didn't have the big first payday. So I don't know. I don't know. I do think the fact that he's 5'8" will stunt his market a little bit. But he is incredibly durable for being 5'8". He's played 48 straight games. He's shown you this year that I'll read you a quote in the story from a scout here. He's going to command $15 million to $16 million per year. As it has to be more than Darius Slayton. The Giants gave him too much, and maybe only slightly less than Christian Kirk. He's looked faster, he's played stronger, and he's been more versatile as they have challenged him to get a little more vertical this year. I wouldn't pay too much attention to his size. It's his ability to get open. So that's one person. Somebody else, an executive said, jokes, all jokes aside, said size matters. So,
Really?
So I do think, but it only takes one, right? It only takes one. Wandale might find one team that says no, and it might be the Giants, who, depending on who the GM, might say, no, I don't believe in 5'8" receivers. My receivers all have to be 6 foot or better, or they all have to run 4.3s or faster. Like, Wandale's not exceptionally fast for being that small. So they might say no, and he might find somebody who says, you know what, I don't give a crap what you look like, you produce. So,
and when you look at that free agent wide receiver market, there's not much meat on there. So this could
it's a pick your flavor. So there's Rashid Shaheed, who's never had 1,000 yards, but he's he's much faster than Wandale. There's, Mike Evans or Deebo Samuel, who have longer resumes, but they're older.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a pick your flavor. Like, do you want old? Do you want young? Do you want fast? Do you want productive? Like, what do you want? Jawan Jennings is having a great year for the 49ers, but he's 28. You might want Wandale at 25,
I'm wondering how much Dart would have any kind of input. I was just pulling the numbers here. So Wandale has 1,014 yards. Dart didn't start till week 4 against the Chargers. So Dart has out of the 1,014 yards, 791 of those yards are from Dart. So, so it's interesting if you look at it. Dart is the one that got Wandale to that level, and I'm sure he's got incentives for $1,000. I'm sure he's going to make extra money. I'm wondering if that's a conversation that management has with Dart, because again, it's his number one. If you take the 791, okay, 2,000 yards for Dart right now, 1,200 of it is divided over Theo Johnson, Bellinger, all those other guys. I mean, I would have to think Dart would want him back.
Just not even that. I mean, Wandale and Theo is probably 1,300 of the 2,000. Those are his two favorite targets by a mile. So,
Yeah. So it's and the free agent wide receiver market is not great right now. So
I would say the Giants get in a little. They let Malik Neighbors have too much say in the franchise last year. I would like to see them. I know he's the quarterback, but I would like to see the pros in the room, the people who get paid to make those decisions, and not Malik Neighbors and Jaxson Dart.
Fair enough. Chris, do you want him to come back?
I do want Wan Dale to come back, and it would be a lot easier to say yes if he was that outside 6'3" receiver, 6'2". But the fact that he's a slot guy, where you can get a slot guy, maybe not as productive right off the bat in college, coming in, in a rookie year, I just can't see $16 million when you're going to have $50 million at the most, maybe a little more with some salary cap, maneuvers with contracts. I think the money needs to be spent in other places, especially on the outside. If you're going to spend that money on a receiver, I think put some of that allocated to an outside guy. I think slot becomes a little bit less where you can fill that spot with somebody else. Just for that price at $16 million, I can't see it.
I'm going to throw this comment on here just because, again, like you read into what players say. Alex says that Dart yesterday in the postgame said Wan Dale is his guy. A little bit of preemptive talk there, right? You're like, hey, make sure you bring my guy back, right?
Yeah, well, it's the next G for Shane. Is that his guy? Well, obviously she drafted him.
Brian Daboll was his guy too. So,
yeah, all true.
Andrew Thomas at an offensive line should be his guys.
Yes, exactly.
That will make that train run. Keep him upright.
Yeah, hands down. All right, well then let's talk about let's move the other side of the ball. The defense looked functional. This is back-to-back weeks where the defenses looked functional. Ryan, is this just these guys having fun? Is it an injection of backup players that normally don't play? Is it that they really like Charlie and his way of going about things? Because again, I'm not trying to pump this guy up, past what he should be, but there's a noticeable difference in a handful of players.
Yeah, I'm glad Sean's not on tonight because I would probably have to eat some crow here. Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely is noticeable. I mean, I didn't think. Now, look, I don't think if you told me Charlie was this is not a knock on Charlie, but if you told me Charlie was the DC the whole season, do I think the Giants are a playoff team? No, I don't think that Shane Bowen had that much of an impact. But I will agree. I was saying on here for weeks that I didn't think much was going to change. And I will say they have played better, noticeably better. They still, let's call it what it is. They still lost these games. They gave up 29 to Marcus Mariota or whatever, right? They still lost, but they've gotten better each week. He has done some creative things, particularly with his guys, his outside linebackers who he knows the best. He has done some creative things to get them in advantageous positions to rush the passer. I think that's been the most noticeable thing. He has been, I think, a little bit more aggressive in the red zone, particularly. I think it was the play right before the Deonte Banks touchdown where he sent everybody. And I was like, whoa, look at this. That was noticeable. I forget, it was an incompletion or a batted pass or something. Definitely has trusted the back end of the defense, which I don't think is a long-term solution because I don't think the back end of the defense is that good, especially right now with all the injuries, but he's getting away with it. And I think from an attitude standpoint, they've really rallied around him. Again, different coaches have different personalities and not everybody's for everybody. Like we talked about last week, I don't know that Kafka and Dart are a great personality match. Kafka and Daboll were, and Daboll and Dart were, and Kafka and Daniel Jones were. But I think that this defense's personalities has rallied around Charlie, and I think it's not a coincidence that the leaders of the defense are Charlie's. It's easy to rally around Charlie when he's, got a hand in Brian Burns having an MVP caliber year. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Who by the way, another sack and a half yesterday, and what was it? 4 tackles and a sack and a half. But here's the other thing. All of a sudden, Okereke, as I mentioned earlier in the show, looks good. Dane Belton's playing the best football he's played since he's been on the team.
Gotcha.
Even Adebo looked good yesterday, who I've been like.
Again, let's not get too carried away with Geno Smith and the Raiders. Like, yes,
no,
I agree.
I'm just talking about overall play, not winning, losing. I'm saying play. Like,
yeah. Well, but I'm saying they played the worst team in the NFL. So, like, Adebo looked good against him. Let me see him look good against,
Brock Purdy.
Jamar Burrow and Jamar Chase.
No, agreed. Let him do it.
That's what he was brought. He was paid $18 million to shut down CeeDee Lamb, not to shut down. I don't know who was the Raiders' number.
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, next week, right? We'll see.
Yeah. And Chris, I was just, again, you're looking for some things to build on. Just, guys like Debo. What I noticed was Alexander's playing more because he couldn't get on the field with Bullen. He just couldn't get on the field. Nobody knows why. Okereke is playing better. Belton's playing better. So some of these guys are playing better. So as Ryan just alluded to, Chris, maybe it's a personality thing.
You know what? We see this every year, right? We saw with Banks, the end of his rookie year. We were all high on him and everything, and then it just went right to the toilet. So, I mean, I don't know how much you put into this because with the new scheme, with the new defensive coordinator, I think everything gets rebooted. Everything goes back to zero. I don't know how much of this you take because we see this for how much 12 years we've been dealing with this crap with the Giants. That at the end of the season, they show the flashes. Oh, I can't wait till next year. This team, we all get hyped, and then it just goes into the pan. So
the next coach might want a 3-4 defense. He might want a 4-3 defense. And when you do that, man, Darius Alexander suddenly doesn't fit anymore.
And whoever the numbnuts are that actually interviewing these coaches, can you please ask the question, are you going to play to the strengths of your defense? That's what we want to see. Play to the strengths of your personnel. Whatever scheme you're playing, can you please make sure
that Dexter Lawrence playing over the guard?
I'm sorry?
Like, why is Dexter Lawrence playing over the guard and not the nose?
Andre Patterson's the one that really changed a few years ago. Can we please keep him over the center? He destroys everybody. Well, when he's playing well, right? When he's playing well. But that's, just play to the strengths of this team. But I don't put anything to what we're seeing right now because everything's going to change. Come after Black Monday when everybody gets axed.
And what's
minus maybe the GM.
And why your point is so good is that they're going to reboot this whole thing. I don't know if Newman can play. I don't know if Holland can play. I don't know if Debo can play.
It's so cloudy. All these players are cloudy because we saw flashes with different coaches. And then guys have had setbacks. Other guys go other places and play better than they did here. I don't know what to believe because you feel like if Tyler Newman went somewhere else, he'd probably be of a safety. But it's all clouded. That's the way I feel. Everything just seems very cloudy.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like
the one guy I'm sure won't play. The one guy I'd bet won't play well anywhere else is Evan Neal. He's the one guy I'm sure won't play well. So
you're allowed to pour cold water on him because
that's the one guy I'm pretty sure won't be good somewhere else. So
and listen, no offense to Tibbs, but how in the world did we draft two guys in the first round and neither one of them are like all pros? How is it possible?
I mean, it happens the same way the Jets somehow drafted two studs and that same draft. Like the Jets got two all Pro Bowl caliber guys in the top 10, and the Giants, got a 0 on one. And Thibodeau's a solid player. He's not a Pro Bowler, but he's a solid player. He's not what you expect at 5 overall, but
no.
He's a solid player, but
I expected.
But he's not in the ballpark of Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. So
no. All right, well let's move off of that. Talk about what the big announcement was today, which I actually was very happy with. This is that Freeman is going to be returning to Notre Dame, which his name has been removed from that list. And honestly, I was really disgusted. Chris, Ryan, I was disgusted because, the front office has ties to Notre Dame, and it just felt like, hey, we're hiring more, more nepotism.
But they weren't doing that. They were like, you're getting sucked in by betting lines, and they were never. He was never like the favorite to be hired by the. You gotta just trust who you trust. Like I told you, he was never the favorite. Like they did their due diligence on him. Like they've done it on Jesse Minter or Chris Shula. Like. He was going to get an interview if they got to that point, but he wasn't like the runaway favorite. They weren't like handing the job to him.
No, you remember, you have to read in between the lines of what I'm saying is that I didn't trust the upper management to make the right decision because they were like this. Hey, I used to work for Notre Dame. Let him be the coach, right? Because they've never done anything the right way. So it's very hard to trust the front office doing the right thing.
Yeah, I don't know that I feel that way. I mean, I do feel that way in terms of it's very hard to trust anybody in the Giants. Like, don't get me wrong. I never bought into like Marcus Freeman as this overwhelmed. They never even interviewed him. So like they could have interviewed him at any point in the last 6 weeks. Or however, 3 weeks since Notre Dame season ended. Like they didn't, right? So like if it was this overwhelming favorite, shit, they could have hired him, right? He fits the Rooney Rule. They could have just hired him and shut it down. It was never like that. You know what I mean? So he was just a candidate on the list, just like everybody else is. So,
What's the buzz? What's the buzz in the building, Ryan? Is there a buzz?
I mean, the buzz is that Joe Shane is probably coming back. That's the buzz. That's the buzz is that despite a 6-25 record or whatever, that he's probably 6-27, whatever it is. Yeah, 6-27. That he's probably coming back next year. That's what candidates believe that they'd be working with or for Joe Shane. So
all right, so Ryan, if
again, I want to make that clear. That's just buzz. That's not.
Yeah, buzz. We get it.
That's not like nobody has told me that. Where
Nope, we get it.
You'd see a story in the Post that said sources said. That's just.
Yep.
That's just
the word.
That's just
the word
the buzz
I used,
around. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's just
buzz.
somebody in the building told somebody on the
the training team. Yeah.
Yeah. Told their neighbor, who told their uncle, who told me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I got it. Go ahead, Chris.
No, Ryan, if he does come back, do you believe that he'll come back on a 1-year deal or that the Giants will extend him? And
again, this is pure speculation, but just based on how the NFL and the Giants work, I would think he'd get a 1-year extension.
I agree with you. They don't go in with the for a
All
year.
Right. Again, this is we're just having our normal fodder that we have every Monday. And again, I know you don't like to put your name on like an opinion like this, but like, or maybe I don't even know if you can answer this question, but I want to ask it anyway. So Shane comes back. Maybe I don't understand what his style is, but like, if we think he has a style, like what kind of coach would he lean on? Like, what would
he would lean on somebody he knows. That's Joe Shane's style. And that's what, to be honest, that's not a shot at Joe Shane. That's most guys' style. So he would lean on somebody he knows. That's
Lou
Anarumo, who worked with him. Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach, who he's worked with in the past. Did he work with Joe Brady? If he hasn't worked with Joe Brady, then there's certainly, and Brandon Beane has, so like they're best friends. So he would take Brandon Beane's word for Joe Brady. Be hard to hire the Bills OC again, though, after firing the last Bills OC. But that's his style. He has an inner circle he trusts. So he's represented by Bob Lamont, who's a super agent. So could Bob Lamont arrange some sort of marriage? Like, they have a dinner every year at the combine. Like, is there somebody at the dinner who's a coach who knows Joe because they're both Bob Lamont clients? I'd have to go through that. I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, somebody like that. So if Joe's in charge, I don't see him hiring some stranger who he has to then worry about like overthrowing him when there's a power struggle. That Joe Shane's not that secure.
Self-preservation is what you're saying?
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, sure. So I'm just looking. I see executive. Here, coordinators. I'm looking at right now. So Spagnuolo is a Bob Lamont guy. Not a lot of. Pat Shermer's a Bob Lamont guy. I don't think they're going to hire him again. Not a lot of guys on here who jump off the page as guys that would would go to the Giants.
So would it be safe to say then he leans on Buffalo and Miami guys?
Buffalo, Miami. He was in Carolina. Yeah, you'd have to trace back the roots. Like Zach Taylor and him go back to Carolina. So Zach Taylor and him go back to Miami, I guess. I don't know how many people realize Zach Taylor is a Bob Lamont guy. So I would think if he gets fired by the Bengals, he will jump to the top of the list.
Wow. What's your thought here, Chris? You got a dog in the show here?
Yeah, my thought is I'm concerned about the staff as just as much as the head coach, and it scares me with a lot of the coordinators that haven't.
Doug Peterson.
Wow, that's a name. Lou Anarumo and some of these other coordinators that haven't been head coaches, that scares me. I feel like this fan base and this organization, we're in need of somebody that's done it before. I don't know if a Tomlin will shake loose or Harbaugh with their things, and whoever loses that game, maybe they move on.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm thinking, for the safe bet, this almost reminds you, Hanley wasn't even as bad as what we're seeing. He brought in Dan Reeves to steer the ship and get some wins. Give me a Mike McCarthy who's going to get you 8-9 wins. He may not win a lot of playoff games, but the guy's already got a staff put together. He's ready to go. What scares me is the coach that they bring in. How good is the staff? Who's the offensive coordinator? Who's defensive coordinator?
Okay.
And that's what concerns me just as much. But if you know what you're getting with McCarthy. I'll take 50 playoff wins to get me 8-9 wins.
Correct. I agree. If the Giants' big problem in 3 years is they can't get over the wild card round or something, then that was it. Then that was a successful hire. Yes.
I just don't want to roll the dice anymore, Ryan.
No, I agree with you. I would, if I had to grade a hire, if I was grading a hire, which I'll do eventually, I would give Mike McCarthy probably an A if they hired him. So, or an A- probably. So, totally agree with that. As you were saying that, something else popped in my head.
Harbaugh.
Yes, thank you. I would not rule out that if the Ravens lose that game, that there's some sort of Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh split. Does that mean John Harbaugh is out? Does that mean Lamar Jackson's on the trade market? I don't know, but it would not surprise me if that. People around the league would not be surprised if they had a split after that. So
it's easier to find a coach than a quarterback, right, Ryan?
Correct.
So maybe that's the way they go.
Correct. So, and I do strongly believe that if Tomlin or Harbaugh was free, that person would be 1 or 1A on the Giants list. I strongly believe that. That is exactly who they're looking for.
I will say I wouldn't be disappointed with McCarthy, but I would be really disappointed with Lou. I that would just take the wind right out of my sails. I've got my short list, of Hafley.
I think he's he might be, if I was ranking him, I'd put him maybe a notch above Minter and Shula, and there's 4 of them, and I can never name all 4.
Kubiak.
Minter and Shula. No, there's the 4 defensive coordinators. Minter and Shula and
Spagnuolo.
No, whoever the 4th. I guess it's Anarumo. I'd put Hafley a notch above them because he's been the head coach before, even though it was in college.
Yeah, BC,
so I think the Giants would look favorably on he's led a program before, even though it's college.
And he's been with the Packers for a decade, hasn't he? Worked his way.
No, he's only been with the Packers for two years. He was.
I'm thinking of Shula.
Yes, he's been with the Rams for a decade. Yes.
Yeah, Shula's been there forever, working his way up through the ranks.
He's been there pretty much since he's been there since McVay's been there. Pretty
yeah,
much.
Yeah.
No, but what I like about Hafley is he is whereas Marcus Freeman was just a college coach.
Yep.
Hafley worked for the Bucs under Schiano. He worked for the Browns under, I can't remember who. He worked for the 49ers under Shanahan. So he's been an NFL assistant. So he's, to Chris's point, he's going to have a network of NFL assistants to build a staff.
Yeah, Hafley's kind of leading my dog and pony show right now. But if it comes McCarthy, I'm not going to hate it. And I think the reason why I'm not going to hate it is because you're talking about a guy now that's worked with Dak and Rodgers. So he's got to have a little bit of ability to handle the quarterback in some level. Now, again, I don't find him exciting. You know what I mean? But
it doesn't have to be exciting. It has to be competent.
yeah.
And he'll build a staff. He'll have a solid staff with him.
Hey, I'll give him credit too. That's a great point, Chris. I do believe that McCarthy believes in, hey, I'm the CEO. I better hire some really good coordinators.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So what do we have to look forward here with this week coming up, Ryan? Anything?
The end of the season. I'm trying. No. I really don't have much for you to look forward to. I mean, I'm trying to think. Really, no. I mean, just get out of here without any Javon Holland major injuries, and
is he really hurt?
I mean, if the season was continuing, I think he would be out for a while. He'd be on IR. This is my hunch. I don't think he's like hurt into next year, but I think he'd be on IR if.
What's the injury?
A knee.
Gotcha. Damn.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe he plays Sunday. I don't know, but like from calling around, I think he'd be on the shelf for a while. But I don't think we're talking about he's out of training camp.
Yeah, he needs work done, is what you're basically saying. Yeah, I got you. All right, so then I'll leave you with this, and then you can roll. Is there outside of Wandale, is there a surprise guy that you think will not come back or will come back?
Flott, I think is the guy who. Well, he's a free agent, so I don't know if that counts as a surprise. Flott, I'd be surprised if he came back.
Wait. If he came back, so you think Flott's gone?
I do. I think Flott's gone.
Holy smoke!
And the good corners get paid. Like, good corner. He's just a good corner. He's not a Pro Bowl corner. He's a good corner, and good corners get paid. Debo got $18 million. Could you tell me Flott's definitely worse than a Debo? Not this year's Flott isn't.
No.
So,
are they going to? What about that draft class? Bellinger, McFadden.
I would think Bellinger's gone because they don't value him. McFadden could come back because the injury just kind of shredded his market. He could come back on like a 1-year kind of deal. I'm trying to think of somebody who's not a free agent who I think could be. I think Banks will be gone. Trade him. Hyatt will be gone. Trade him. Cut him. Belton's a free agent. He'll be gone. He'll definitely be gone. He might be the surest one to be gone
because he can play.
Because and he hasn't gotten a chance for 4 years. They've done what they did. He's the Bellinger of the defense. For 4 years, they just keep replacing over him.
Yeah.
So, he gets turnovers every time he's on the field. Now he has negative plays, but he at least counteracts them with positive plays, and he never gets a chance to be a full-time player. So,
Singletary
gone, cap casualty.
I got to write all these down now. Singletary, Bellinger.
Well, those are free. Those are free agents. Cap.
Yeah,
casualty.
I'm just writing down a list of who.
Bobby's probably a cap casualty. Singletary's probably a cap casualty. Hyatt's probably a cap casualty.
Banks.
Roy Robertson Harris could be a cap casualty. No, Banks will be traded. I think Banks has some trade value. They could probably get like a 5th-round pick for Banks.
Slayton trade.
Slayton, I think, is a trade candidate if somebody will take him. Yeah. The one to watch in the offseason, we have time to get to this. The one to watch is Dexter Lawrence. Like, does he want to trade? I don't know. Does he want to trade? Is it worth trading it? Like, you wouldn't get top value for him right now. Like, you were not going to get a Quinnen Williams package for him, and that's what you'd want off his worst season. That's the one to watch. Is like Dexter Lawrence. He's probably going to want more guaranteed money in his contract off the worst year of his career. So what do the Giants think of Dexter Lawrence? That's the one to watch for the offseason.
Dang.
He's always said he wants to play. He's given no indication that he wants to be traded. I want to be here. I want to be in the Ring of Honor. I want to be part of turning this around. He said all the right things, but let's see what happens when he wants more guaranteed money in the contract. Joe Shane's a hard line guy, man. He is a hard line negotiator. Let's see what he thinks.
They will run Joe Shane and his family out of town if Dexter Lawrence is not on this team.
If they didn't,
Chris, Chris, do you agree that he's going to have to hide?
Dexter Lawrence hasn't had a good year.
You know what's interesting? I feel like that elbow, and he's not going to say it because guys go after it probably. It's been quiet. I think the elbow's been an issue and the reason why his plays were down. But I think if Dable came back with the same staff, it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted out. But the fact that there are pieces here to build with, and you see a team like the Bears go from where they went to now, you feel like with the right coaching staff, this team will win games. So I'm hoping Dex sees that, comes back next year and doesn't complain and want to restructure, and the team actually.
Well, he's definitely going to want to restructure. I mean, he's
a restructure. I mean, not want to be traded. Let's put it that way. Not want to be traded.
He's going to want to be
somewhere
paid.
else.
So it's a matter. The ball's almost in the Giants' court at this point because he's going to want it. He's going to want more money. So, and he's right to want more money. So, I mean, if Milton Williams is making $28 million a year or whatever, Dexter Lawrence has every right to ask for more
That's fine.
money.
A signing bonus incentives and backload it and do what they can to free up some more cash.
So ball being Joe Shane's court. And the Joe Shane I know has been hardline to Bradbury, to Saquon Barkley, to Julian Love. So we'll see how he handles it.
But the ironic part is, or the funny part is, he'll give $36 million to Darius Slayton, who drops every.
He hardlined Darius Slayton.
But he still got him at the end. But at the end, he came back, and he still got a good deal.
He got a better deal than he would have taken
he
held out.
Because they were desperate. Because the Giants never addressed the wide receiver position, so Shane was in a conundrum himself. He had no other choice. They both needed each other at that point.
Chris, let's not forget when the season started in 2024, he was a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
So. It just shows you what a great guy Darius Slayton is, personal-wise. He's a great guy.
Great guy. Great human being.
All right, Ryan, we will see you next week after our fourth
Ryan.
win of the year. We will talk about that then. And, guys, if you're out there, make sure you check out Ryan's piece. You putting it up. Is it today or tomorrow?
It's out tonight. So
it's out tonight. Make sure you guys are following Ryan. He's always giving you guys some little bit of tidbits of information. So make sure you're following along. Ryan, we will see you next week.
See ya.
All right, Ryan. Chris, we're gonna go into what we now call one last drive, where we answer everybody's question. I just gotta find the. Here it is. Oh. Bang! One last drive. We're gonna take your questions. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff in here that we can talk about, Chris. So I'm just gonna try to fire them out. If I can find questions. A lot of statements. Let me see if I can find questions. Let's see, Patrick Graham. No. Let me see here. What's up, Chris? Peace. What's up? I see Mark. I see Cold. Let's see him. It's covered Belton, Carter Fee, Bobby Flat. I'm looking for questions. Pieces in the room. A lot of statements. You guys got to have some questions for me. I can't. Hope you guys enjoyed the holidays. Thank you, Sean, very much. I'm going to put this up here just because it's a good topic. Hope we got Burns has been a stud all season with 16.5 sacks and counting. Hands down, Giants' best defensive player season. Doesn't get credit because of Giants' losses. I agree with that, but he is making the Pro Bowl as a starter. 16.5 sacks. I don't think we've had anyone get 16.5 sacks since JPP. And, he's just had a phenomenal year. So
I will say, Craig, if the Giants had a winning record, he'd be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. But the fact he's on a losing team, that gets overlooked.
Yeah. Well, also that Myles Garrett has like 20 sacks.
He'd be up there with them, though. He'd be like two or three.
Yep, I agree with that.
That's true. Myles would probably get it.
Let's see, Wan Dale, peace. I'm looking for any questions. A lot of statements. If you guys have anything, drop them in now. Giants might be the dumbest team in NFL history. K-Mac, that has a lot of truth sometimes. Let's see. Wait, hang on. So Cole says they have to bring Wan Dale. They can't afford to lose him. Right now, truth, I think that's a Cole that's is a fact right now, unless they plan on, drafting 2 wide receivers, right? So it is going to be interesting on what they do. Jets. Cole's got some Jets. Alex, if Dart wants him back, he's back. Alex says if Dart wants him back, he's back. I don't know, Alex. Again, Shane is a tough character. I'm Chris, let me ask you, are you shocked that Shane's potentially coming back?
Yeah, I'm 50-50. I am a little shocked. I am. But then again, I think of the situation with Mara and the leadership, and Mara not, health-wise. Is it too much of an overhaul? But I don't understand it. I think it needs to be just ripped apart, broken down. But yeah, I am a little shocked. I am. But let's wait. Maybe the report is false. We'll see what happens on Monday. But the way it stands now, if that's true, yeah, I'm not happy. Not at all.
I'll tell you one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we can go back 2-3 years now. And I don't know what he does. Like, I don't want to say the guy doesn't do anything, but if this feels like what Jerry Reese did after they won the Super Bowl in 2011, like, you're not doing the right things as a general manager. We have a problem for 3 years in a row with the kicker. We have no kick returner. Okay. When Debo got hurt, me and Cold had this conversation at length. Okay. 7 weeks ago, there were 8 defensive backs that did not have jobs. They were free agents that you could have brought in here. Okay. And they could have competed because they were NFL corners. Instead, Debo goes down and you go get Corey Black, who you drafted and cut. You get him off the Jets practice squad and you make him a starter. Makes no sense as a
Or how
GM.
about in the offseason before this training even started? How about a Stephon Gilmore, who's not the best anymore? But wouldn't you rather have him on the other side with a Debo than Banks? I mean, just to provide depth. Now, I know Gilmore probably doesn't want to play with a 2-10 team at that point, but earlier in the preseason, that was an opportunity to put some depth with a veteran.
The reason why they didn't do that because they thought Flott was going to be able to compete for the starting job, and he won the starting job. But to double down on your question, yes, that was a potential. But when a Debo got hurt in week 4, they could have brought Gilmore in week 4, and he would have been a starter.
Yeah, we all knew depth was an issue with the cornerback position. And getting back to Shane, Craig, my concern is that a head coach that wants to come here doesn't want to work with Shane, knowing that even if he is on an extra deal, doesn't want to work with him.
Yeah, agreed. I do have a question here from Sean. Any chance of a miracle Harbaugh or Tomlin could fix Slayton's drops if they were coaching the Giants? I'll give that one to you, Chris. Go ahead, take it.
I think Slayton's a body catcher. We see him once in a while catch with his hands, but I feel like he protects the ball. He catches like he should be a defensive back. I think at this point, 6 years. How many years have he been with Giants? 6, 7 years? I mean, at this point, he makes Evan Ingram on big catches look phenomenal. I mean, I haven't seen a receiver like Slayton drop so many balls than we've seen. I don't think he can be fixed. I don't think he'd be trusted. I don't think he can be trusted, and that's a big.
I think there's a confidence thing there. I think there's a technique thing there. I think there's a little self-preservation where he doesn't want to get laid out in there. Like Wan Dale is just like his confidence comes from he's been a short, of course, receiver his whole life, so he knows how to get out from getting crushed. You don't see Wan Dale getting knocked out because he knows how to use the short body style, compact body style that he has, right? Where Slayton being a little taller, right? Like he doesn't know how to not get laid out. So he's alligatoring the ball, his arms. He's just not aggressive to the ball. I think, again, Slayton's a nice receiver.
Who's going to trade for him? Who wants that contract? Who the hell's going to trade for Slayton?
Well,
who's going to pay that money? Nobody's
there
wants
might
to pay him
be
$11, $12 million.
Well, again, so if you're Howie Roseman and you're a good GM, you're finding a team that either lost a wide receiver and you're good and you're desperate, right? So, you're Tampa Bay and Godwin goes down and you're stuck, right? You go get Slayton, right? You're Buffalo and Diggs goes down, right? Like someone that's a winning team and one of their guys,
but that means you got to carry him into the roster next year. That's the problem. Nobody trades for him. You're carrying him into the roster unless you cut him. So you could break up that $16 million cap hit into 2 years. So you'd only do 8 for 2026, and you could pay the other 8 in 2027. So maybe they do that. You don't have to take the 16 hit all at once. You could break that up into 2 seasons. That's the rule. Maybe you bring if you had him back, you do what you did with Banks. You stuff him on the roster as your 4th receiver, and you let him run returns. I don't know why he doesn't run kicks anyway. He's got the speed. Maybe you think about if he has to come back, you let him do kick returns.
I guess so. I like the guy. I like the guy. But he shows there's no value. Like he can't make, like Hodgins to me has more value than Slayton does, but they won't throw the ball to Hodgins.
We've seen so many wide open shots where he drops the ball, 3rd and 6s, end zones. I mean, it goes on and on. We can go back to Washington on that Monday night game a few years ago with Daniel Jones wide open. That's what he does. That's not going to change, unfortunately.
Want to make sure I give a shout out to all the Marks. We've got like 3 Marks, and Cold and Rob and Ryan from Big Blue Podcast. I think Drew's in the room, Alex. But you guys came in, popped in.
Hey, Craig, speaking of Alex, I don't know if you noticed yesterday, but our good friend Alex Bachman was returning punts yesterday. Did you see that?
I did see that, and I was kind of like, there was a part of me that wanted him to rip one off just to shove it down the Giants' throat.
Hey, bring him to camp.
Yeah. He was a good guy. If you're ever interested. By the way, you guys, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do, or tell your friends. Like I don't know how to get people to subscribe to the YouTube channel, so we need a little bit of your help. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. All that does is basically let you know when we put new content up there. But on there, we've got interviews from, again, Alex Bachman and Lawrence Tynes, Daniel Bellinger, Micah McFadden. We got Belton on there. We got Kawika Mitchell on there, We've got Leonard Marshall, Carl Banks. We've got a ton of, there's got to be 45, 50 interviews up there if you're at all interested in checking that out. So speaking of Alex Bachman, he was really good to us, told us some really good stories about why he chose Wake Forest over Duke. I always remembered that. Mm-hmm. Let's see what is this one here that Alex is saying. The Cowboys are ruined to be treating this game as a preseason game, resting everyone. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible, Alex, that these guys are all getting rested. And it is what it is. Can't fix it, can't change it. Ryan wants to know, do you have a head coach? Do you see a head coach tonight working with Shane that leads to his firing?
We would just, maybe that's the whole draft thing. If a coach says, listen, we'll get to the draft and then make a decision. Maybe the coach gets the autonomy over Shane.
It's going to have to be one really good head coach.
It's got to be a Tomlin, Harbaugh, or McCarthy. Those are the only 3 guys that could probably pull that off.
Exactly. And that's perfectly said. The only 3 guys that have that kind of juice are Harbaugh, Tomlin, and McCarthy. None of the young guys are going to have that kind of juice, right? Maybe Hafley because he's been an NFL assistant before, but I don't think so. But I will say, going on record, is that Lou Amorano, if I'm pronouncing that right, he's not the guy. And I think everybody knows he's not the guy. He's not going to inspire any, exciting play. But I do think that, of course, the big 3 that we just mentioned, but I do think that Shula and Hafley will bring some excitement to the team. And the biggest thing is that Hafley's a defensive coach. So his big thing is, what offensive guy would Hafley bring to blow this up? Like, is he going to bring the quarterback coach from Green Bay? Is he going to reach back to his college ties where, Hafley can do the job, but he's going to have to bring, a cutting edge offensive coordinator. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, there's no way around it. After seeing what this offense has done, this defense has done, the staff is so important. And I would think the Giants executives, who's in on those meetings, whether it's Mara, Connell, and Chris Mara, I mean, these guys, those are the questions you need to ask, right? Who is the staff? Who are you bringing in with you? Yeah. Just as important. And that's why for every Ben Johnson, there's a bunch of other guys that failed. We've seen it. And I don't feel like this fan base, we've gone on so long. I can't roll the dice anymore. I'm tired of it. Now we got to sit another 3 years and wait to see if we made the right choice. Give me the sure thing. And the sure thing is a veteran head coach. Even if he doesn't win a lot in the playoff games, obviously, a la McCarthy. It reminds me of Dan Reeves. When the Giants moved on from Hanley after 2 seasons, they went with Dan Reeves. They needed stability, and I feel like this organization needs stability. No more first-timers.
Agreed.
Not right now. Not right now. We win, different story down the road. Not right now.
Peace has a question here. It says there have been reports of infighting in the front office. Reports that the Giants aren't looking at GMs. Thoughts are that Shane is safe. I think it's because Chris Mara is trying to be the GM. Thoughts? So hang on a minute. I got to look something up. How many Maras are there? There's John Mara, Chris Mara, and Tim Mara?
Yes. And there's the sister, John's sister, who's married, who's technically a Mara by
Rooney?
blood. No.
Who's she married? Oh, still okay. So that's Chris Mara. Is there a Tim Mara? No. Okay. It's just Chris. All right. I've told this story before, Peace. I'll tell the story again. Chris has heard me probably say it too much. He's probably sick of hearing it. But Leonard Marshall told us this story about Chris Mara. You can take it or leave it for what it's worth, but I'll reiterate the story because it comes up at least once or twice a year. He said that Chris Mara walked the sidelines as a little boy with Wellington, his dad, right? Up and down the sideline. Started off as a ball boy, worked his way through scouting, player personnel, and worked his way all the way through. And he knows football. Chris Mara knows football because he grew up with his dad learning all these positions, right? The players appreciated Chris Mara. They liked Chris Mara. They thought Chris Mara had a good football mind like his dad. John Mara, went to college. I'm not saying Chris Mara didn't go to college, but at that time, John Mara chose law school, right? And John Mara went into that vertical, right? And then came back into the fold later on. And that Chris Mara got upset with John because Chris knew football. This is a story from Leonard Marshall, that Chris Mara was a football guy, knew football, knew business that he learned from his dad. John was removed from football, and John went to law school and never asked Chris what he thought. Chris got so frustrated with year after year after year after year of not being involved in decisions that Chris Mara decided to spend most of his time with his horses and his horse business, right? I think he owned a stable and he was into horse racing and, breeding horses and that whole thing. So he removed himself, for a period of time because John wouldn't include him in that. So I don't know if Chris Mara is trying to be the GM or not. I don't think so. He's an owner, right? I mean, he's a Mara. So I don't think that, but I do think that the other gentleman, there is some thought that he wants to be, if for any reason like John steps down, it's was it O'Donnell, Chris O'Donnell? Is that the guy's name?
Well, Tim O'Donnell.
Tim McDonald, yeah.
Because
So
his
Tim-
mom is a Mara, and his
Yes.
last name takes his father. So he's got the bloodline of a Mara, and he's involved in football operations. Tim McConnell.
Yep. So, I know he would want to be, I don't know about GM, but I know he would want to be involved. And there's been some talk that that I had found out through, I don't know if I don't like saying sources kind of a thing, but someone who told me that they spend some time with the Maras in this other world that they live in had mentioned that, that Tim would want to be the president if John ever stepped down.
And the interesting part, Craig, with the whole Shane thing is, I mean, they have their whole scouting department. So it could very well be that the draft comes, they just let this all play out through the draft, and not saying that he would get fired after the draft, but it seemed odd that they would put that in a statement, or not a statement, but was that an actual? That wasn't an actual Giant statement. That was actually from Ian Rappaport. But I mean, could you see that happening where after the draft?
No.
With
if Shane's here from the draft, he's going to stay.
Yeah.
There's no way. Why would you, as Shane? Why would you want that?
If a big name head coach wants him gone, that's the only reason why I was thinking that.
Like if
Well,
Shane
I'm not gonna work
goes,
with him.
like Shane's not going to go resign McFadden, Bellinger, Wan Dale, and those guys, because if he goes to become a GM somewhere else, or he goes to be, in another organization, and he reaches out for Bellinger and McFadden and Belton and those guys because he drafted them, right?
Yeah, you don't want him resigning.
Either he goes or he stays. Like they're never going to keep him till till March. I mean,
Yeah.
April. It doesn't make any sense.
Not through free agency and going through that. No.
Yep. Mark Thompson, who I did think left for the night, though, had a question. What was the most important position to acquire in the offseason, given all the outgoing free agents and possible cap casualties, as Ryan pointed out? So I wrote down the names. I mean, Belton, Singletary, Bellinger, Flott, Bobbio, Hyatt, trade Banks, trade Slayton, Dexter wanting more money. Like, I mean, in free. So okay. So the data shows that in 2026, the New York Giants defense is the most expensive defense in the NFL. They have the most of their money tied up in the defensive side of the ball. So I don't think they're going to spend a lot of money on bringing in free agents on the defense because it's already the most expensive.
However, they never addressed that defensive tackle position. They had a bunch of journeymen and a bunch of and a good draft pick, but they never really addressed it next to Dex in free agency.
Yes, I'm not saying that they're not going to bring defensive guys in. I'm saying that I don't know if they'll spend any more money on the defense. They may just draft a defensive tackle, right, in the second round or the third round. So the way I would answer that question, and Chris, you can answer too, is I still think that the most important position to acquire is going to be wide receiver because Neighbors will not be ready and they won't have a number one wide receiver. So they're either going to have to go sign one and Wan Dale so I think wide receiver right now, nobody thinks is a big deal. But if Wan Dale's gone and Neighbors isn't ready, this team has no wide, and Hyatt's gone, this team doesn't have any wide receivers but Slayton. So secretly, the wide receiver position actually seems to be one of the more important. But second to that is they need a middle linebacker to play, or they need a linebacker defensive tackle to play. But again, I think they're going to draft the linebacker, and I think they're going to draft the defensive tackle. So, I'm still sticking with free agents money would be wide receiver, and if Flott goes, then it becomes corner.
And Craig, when you look at what this team gives up, they did a decent job with Gente on Sunday, but 150 yards per game. That middle linebacker position with McFadden coming off an injury, Okereke could be gone. Boy, you nailed it. I think that middle linebacker position needs to be addressed along with the defensive tackle to finally stop the run. This team hasn't been able to stop the run. Even with Wink, it weren't that great. Going back years. So it's time to really cement themselves to stop the run.
I think McFadden wears the dot, and they moved McFadden over to where Okereke was, which, by the way, when Okereke got hurt last year, McFadden played that spot better than he does his regular spot. So I think that McFadden slides into that strong side or that Mike side. I think they draft a horizontal sideline to sideline linebacker in the second round. Again, if we're talking free agent, Mark, I still lean on they got to bring in help for Dart, right? Because if you're getting rid of Singletary, Bellinger, Hyatt, you can't go into the offseason with Tracy and Slayton. That can't be your offense. Oh, and Theo.
Yeah. On average, each roster has about a 30% turnover. So, each team's got a lot of guys. They're just going to have to fill these spots as best as possible. But yeah, there's holes everywhere.
And for the record, Theo Johnson leads the NFL for tight ends in drops. It's got to get fixed because there's no way he goes and drops another 10 balls next year, and he won't be on the team in 2027 if he does it again. He just can't.
Yeah.
Can't do
and
it.
with Bellinger gone, free agent, right? So they're going to have to address that anyway. They're going to have to look for depth at tight end.
We're going to see what other questions that were in here, and then we'll roll out. Alex says Shula. I think Shula is definitely a top 3, top 4, right? If you're Tomlin, McCarthy, Harbaugh on your veteran coaches, and then Hafley, Shula, Kubiak would probably be your younger ones. Let's see. What is Drew says, I can't get behind after Boston College. Hafley, I can't get behind after Does that mean you can't get behind him, Drew? You don't like him because he coached at Boston College? Is that what I'm kind of understanding? Or am I reading that wrong? Let me know. See if I got one more in here for you, Chris. Got to be another question somewhere. Let's see. Don't limit answers to free agents can be drafted. Oh, okay, that's fine. Sorry, Mark, that's my bad. You need a cornerback because Flop may not come back. You need a wide receiver because you can't go in there with just Slayton. But we can't rule out the fact that Brasillo needs to come back, whoever the coach is. But we need interior linemen. They have to. They got to bring a guard in. I mean, if you got Bo being your swing tackle.
Yeah. Van Roten will be gone. He's 36, 37, so they're going to have to.
The only – I will say this. I'm glad you brought that up. The only thing I'd say about Van Roten, Chris, is that he's also the backup center he can snap.
Yeah, Schlottman too, right? Schlottman played center.
Yeah, but I meant like in a pinch, he plays two spots. Sure. I don't know how good Schlottman is at guard.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have to upgrade and find somebody out there. I don't know if you want to go in with a 36, 37-year-old guard. I mean, you'd have to re-sign him, right? I think it was a one-year deal.
Yeah, so, Mark, I think the answer is that they're going to need a guard.
And if they don't fill it, I'm sure he'll be out there like they did this year.
Too.
He was out there as well.
Yeah. So I guess for me, Chris, you can give me your top three. My top three is wide receiver, corner, and guard. Those are my of course, middle linebacker.
Oh, I'm going to go middle linebacker first because if Bobby does go, they need somebody anyway. They need somebody big in the middle. I'll go middle linebacker, defensive tackle, and then wide receiver. I'll go wide receiver 3. Well, let me change that. Because of Darius Williams with a big jump next year, I will go middle linebacker 1, receiver 2, and then defensive tackle.
That you're talking draft and free agency?
Any combination to fill those holes.
All right. Any combination, I'm going. If that's the case,
I'm sorry.
I thought
that was it. All right.
What's that?
I thought that was where we were going. Any combination. Draft
no, you're right. You're right. I'm rethinking it. Any combination, I think their first need is wide receiver because of Neighbors might not be ready and Wan Dale might not be here. So you literally can't tell Dart to do it with Slayton. Like, you're literally screwing the kid again, right? So you really have to put that on the table. We need a wide receiver 1 or 2/1, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that if Flott doesn't resign, you got to have another corner because there's no corners on the roster, by the way, right? So and then third it would be middle linebacker. 4 would be D tackle. Guy wants to know, hey, what's up, Guy? Are we sticking with Shane? We feel, Chris. I'm gonna let you go with that, Chris. Are we sticking with Shane?
Meaning that, do we want him? What does that question mean? The Giants sticking with him, or are we sticking with him?
I think he's asking our opinion. Are we?
No, I a clean slate. I want a clean changeover. But the Ian Rappaport report yesterday does scare me. Ian Rappaport is usually on the ball with his reports. So the fact that he's saying that he's coming back, that does scare me. But no, I am not personally sticking with Shane. And I'm afraid that may deter a few coaches that may want to come here because of Shane being on a 1-year deal, even with the 1-year extension.
I couldn't say it any better. I mean, the writing's on the wall, right? I mean, like, you're going to run into an issue at some point.
I mean, if a Tomlin came or a Harbaugh, let's leave McCarthy out of this for a second. But if a Tomlin or a Harbaugh came here, you mean to tell me Shane is going to have power over those two guys? I would think those guys at the table would be like, listen, I'm taking this job, but the coach is here, meaning Harbaugh or Tomlin, and Shane is here. I'm making the decisions. He answers to me. That's how I would approach it if I were the Giants. If I can land a Harbaugh or a Tomlin, I'm making Shane second. He answers to the coach, which is something the Giants have never done. But we see it more and more in the NFL, where the coach is actually runs the show. And I'm not sure I agree with it, but I would want that for those two guys.
And it's interesting, too, because if you think of something like the 49ers, Shanahan and Lynch are almost like peers. Yeah. Like, they're just lock and step. You know, I don't think one of them has anything over the other one. It's kind of interesting.
I don't want Shane running the personnel. We saw this with James a few years ago, turning punts, and Eric Gray and these guys. Turbo still on the practice squad for a team that's won 3 games. Two games. They activate them yesterday. These are the personnel decisions that drive you nuts.
Wait a minute, Chris.
Kickers. We've gone through this.
Chris, they activated Turbo and then scratched him.
That's right. They scratched him. So ridiculous. And they'll do it again this week because they won't want anybody to pick him up. They'll activate him to the 53. But then I don't play the guy. We know what Singletary is. Singletary's played well, but we know what Singletary is. Give this guy, Miller, an opportunity to shine and see what we have going into the future. Singletary's not going to be here. Who cares? Let Turbo play. We want to see what we have for next year. This is the whole idea when you win 2-3 games a year.
Well, that was my beef from the beginning. Is like when you're Shane Bowen and you realize that now you've lost 7 games in a row. Wouldn't you just take the reins off and just go for it? Who cares?
Move Carter around, do different things. At that point, it doesn't matter. I'd be running
NASCAR all day long.
And this is the Shane type of stuff with the roster that drives, I think, most Giant fans crazy. Is that it's mind-boggling what he does with the roster.
Chris, don't you think Shane's going to hire Lou Anarumo because he hired Dable, who he knew, and it's safe? It gives him time to fix the team.
What do you think Shane's going to hire? I don't know. I mean, how much time does he have? I hate to think that would be the case. Once again, Lou's been a decent defensive coordinator. He was on the hot seat with the Colts last year. Didn't he get fired mid-season last year from the Colts? I mean, all of a sudden the Colts, where he was with the Bengals. Bengals had a terrible defensive year in 2024, and he got fired at the end of the season. All of a sudden, he's done a decent job with the Colts, and he's all hot again. But I don't want to roll the dice with him. I just don't feel like we're in a position to roll the dice with these coordinators.
No. Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, those are your leaders of your defense. If you want to throw in Holland because he's a veteran, they're not going to be excited about Lou Anarumo. I mean,
listen, if he was your defensive coordinator, maybe, because he does bring some fire, and he did great with the Bengals when he went to the Super Bowl. But I don't know do I want to give him the keys to the Giants as a head coach? At this point, we're worn out as Giant fans. Do we have time to wait another 3 years to see if it works?
No, you're killing the fan base. You're killing the fan base.
How about the kids? Let me bring this up, Craig. The kids that have never experienced winning. I mean, the kids that are 11, 12 years old, all they know is losing. It's hard to get kids of our own that are growing up to be Giant fans because they've been terrible. Their whole life they've been terrible.
If we put it all aside, there's one constant or two constants. 3 if we want to toss in Neighbors. Neighbors, Dart, and Scatterboo injected life into this team over the last 2 seasons.
Agreed.
Outside of that, this team has been a bore fest because remember, Barkley got hurt basically 1.5, 2 years of his 6-year career here, right? And he couldn't, the line was so bad. So there was no exciting Barkley plays. They had no wide receivers. They had no tight ends. They had nobody getting like Dexter Lawrence was it. You now have this guy that walks in, injects life into the team. I was writing this down as we were going. I mean, listen, he's gonna have a run for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay, so you got Cam Ward's got 3,117 yards, 15 TDs, 7 interceptions, 1 rushing over 16. Cam has the edge by a little bit, right? Then you got Tyler Chuck Show. He's got 2,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns over 10. Pretty good, right? And then you got Dart, 2,042 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, but 9 rushing touchdowns. He's got a total of 22 touchdowns over 13 games. The kid is electric. Okay? I can literally go back and pull out probably 10 to 12 sacks that he stepped out of that Daniel Jones would have taken a sack on. Scatterboo running dudes over, right? You saw now what Abdul Carter can do. We know what Neighbors can do. There's some pieces on this team. You got to bring in the right guy. And here's the main thing that we constantly kind of fall in love with. I'm like, who wants what? Those kind of guys usually don't win. You know the guys that win? The guy that comes in and goes, that guy's so good, I'll build my system around that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't think for a moment Andy Reid had to change his offense from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes? He didn't tell Patrick Mahomes he needed to play like Alex Smith. He worked his offense around what made Patrick Mahomes.
We saw
so
with
good.
Bill Belichick in 2007 setting records with points, and then a couple years later became more of a running team, more of a conservative team. They were just a different team because that was the personnel. They didn't have the Randy Mosses anymore. They weren't throwing the ball up and down the field like this.
Yeah,
there was a lot of dink and dunk. They just evolved. They changed. And I think Giants, exactly. That coaching staff needs to play with the pieces that they have.
Yeah.
Whether that's draft, free agency, and the personnel they currently have.
Yep. There's good pieces here. And don't let all these people who don't know football. Oh, thank you, Tuto. Appreciate you, my friend. There's good pieces here. Mark wants to know if so Mark, I'm wired, I think, different than most cats. Because here's the thing. Let's go in order. Quarterback's your most important. We haven't had one in 6 years. Now we got one. Andrew Thomas, your second most important player is your left tackle. We've had one, but he's been hurt on and off, right? Your next best player is your defensive end / outside linebacker. Now we've got two, right? With Burns and Carter, right? And right? Mm-hmm. Then you start saying, okay, well, then it's corner. Corner, we still trying to figure out. Illuminor needs to be paid because you know what he can do. Like, you can't start over. Can you start over at guard? Yeah. Can you start over at center? Probably, yeah.
And I'm with you. I'm with you, Craig. So you know what you do with that contract, Mark? You give him a big signing bonus, a little bit more, and then you're going to backload that contract, right? That first year, you're not going to give him $18 million, but you might give him $9 million, and you might give him $10 million in a bonus, and you backload it. There's creative ways to work with that contract. But to your point, Craig, we've known that Andrew Thomas is phenomenal, but we can't count on him for 17 games. You know, at some point, they're going to need a Illuminor or a guy like him at tackle. So with Bo coming off the bench as your swing guy, I think that works out perfectly. We signed you got the bookend on both sides, and now you work on that interior line going into free agency.
There's just people you just pay. You get tired. This is what I get tired about Giants fans. They're always jockeying for position. They're always the Giants. I don't know if it's new Giants fans. They're always like there's some magic line. I'm not paying that. What do you mean? It's not your money. It's not your money. Just get it done. What we want is winners. We don't stop caring about who got paid what.
Well, I think what they're saying, Craig, is we don't want to pay him, meaning that putting more money allocated to one position or one guy, leaving less for all the other pieces that need to be filled. So I think what people say that they might mean I don't want to pay him because the money needs to go other places. But
we're not talking about about a guard, a center, a safety. We're talking about the offensive line went from the 29th ranked offensive line to the 15th ranked offensive line. Why? Because of Carmen Brasillo, right?
And I'll throw another name in there, Ferenc, his assistant offensive line coach as well. So
so these two guys, right, have done miracle. And this is the first time that these guys, outside those first couple games that Thomas didn't play, they played together for most of the season and did really well.
And look at the improvement when Schmitz, even early on the season, we were like, oh my God, this is it for Schmitz. And he actually really has played well when he's been in there. So that's another hole we may not have to worry about. The Giants don't have to worry about as much.
Yep,
so
because
that eliminates a problem right there with Schmitz.
People don't realize when they play together, they literally know what each other is thinking and doing. Schmitz is playing better because he's been playing next to Van Roten and Runyon for 25 weeks, since preseason. Like, you can't afford to lose a Illuminor and put Bo in there. You heard Ryan said he did not have a great day, but you put Bo in there, and then who's your swing? Stinney?
No, he'll be gone. You can't be your swing. He's mostly your guard. But to your point, Craig, you have those three guys. You'll have Thomas, Bo, Illuminor. That eliminates that tackle position to be an issue, and you focus on those guards, right? The guard position, upgrading next to on the other side, Runyon.
Like,
or the other side of Schmitz.
We overpaid Debo. We overpaid Slayton. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Like, And here's the other thing that nobody's talking about. If you got to tag Illuminor, then you tag Illuminor. I don't care. Right? Like there's just, you got to make sure that the quarterback, like you know what it is? I think, Chris, we haven't had a really good quarterback for so long. We forget what's important. I mean, we need to protect Dart and get Dart weapons. Like that's it.
And as great as Eli was, we saw him being shell-shocked at the end of his career. We saw it affect him where Eli would go down before anybody touched because it was in his head. And that's Eli Manning. I mean, forget Daniel Jones, but Eli was feeling it when that line deteriorated.
And Mark talks about, improving the offensive line through the draft too, 100%. But you can draft linemen in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, and they turn out to be great.
Yeah. 2 years ago, I don't think Shane drafted an offensive line. This past year, no, they got Bo. Wasn't it one of the Shane drafts after McKeithen and Azuda where he did not draft one offensive lineman? I think there was a draft where you pick anybody.
Azudu.
Yeah, that was, and those are another 2 damning picks, Azudu and McKeithen.
Yeah.
But
So I'm rolling with that. I mean, like literally right now, like I'm like, okay, I gotta sign. I don't think McFadden's going to be a problem, signing him because they look at the fact like look how bad we are without him, right? And then of course he had those 2 back-to-back 100 tackle seasons, which hasn't been done in 18 years. I think he's earned a deal. He'll be pretty. I don't want to say cheap, but he'll be pretty cheap because he lost this year, right? So I don't think McFadden's a problem. Wan Dale is a problem, definitely. But Illuminor needs to be signed because you can't put a hole in that offensive line. And you got to draft the wide receiver high because you need a number 1 while Neighbors is out. And we're banking on the fact that he comes back healthy and he's the same guy.
Well, the interesting thing with Bobby Okereke, Craig, is that when Wink Martindale left, it just wasn't the same under Bullen, which is like a lot of players. So I'm just looking what he's due next year.
Bobby?
I mean, Bobby Okereke, according to...
The hardest thing, though, Chris, is that he's had 13 bad games.
Yeah, but he's had over 100-something tackles this year.
Yeah, but not the kind that's Bobby O kind.
Right, but is it Bowen? Because we've seen so many players. We've seen Tyler Nubin. We've seen Banks. We've seen Okereke all regress. So many players under Bowen have regressed. It makes me wonder, is it the system? Because even when Bowen came over, Okereke bit his lip a few times. He didn't want to talk about the system. There's opportunities there. Even McFadden said in the interview with us, he didn't want to throw Bowen under the bus, but he kind of alluded to, he's got different packages. He wants to expand on it or use them more. Like he kind of alluded, like there's stuff in the bag that Bowen just wouldn't even go to.
Yeah.
It just makes me question, was it this defensive coordinator hire with Bowen that's made all these players regress so much? I would be interested to see if they kept Okereke, if he rebounded next year with a more aggressive defensive coordinator that plays to their strengths.
Maybe, but I mean, how old's Bobby now? 32?
Let's see. Bobby is...
And if he's due a contract...
He's 30. He's 29. He's 29. He'll be 30. So he's on the other side of the curve, but... For $5.8 million to bring him back with defensive.
Mark, hang on. This is right what you just said. Mark, if you could show me this quote though, because I'd like to see it. Okereke said in an interview yesterday that he thought he would play his best ball with Bullen as a DC. I'll tell you right now, if that's accurate, Mark, if you could produce that, I'll tell you right now that would give Bullen an opportunity to come back as the DC if they like
we see how
much.
Creative he is. We see him standing up with Carter, moving guys around over center. It makes sense.
Bullen has a chance then to come back as maybe not the DC, but at the linebacker coach. If they like him that much, Bullen will come back.
Well, you know what, Craig? This is what I'd like to see. Whoever the defensive coordinator is, you get him in with the head coach. You're looking at film. You're going over every defensive player on the side of the ball, and you want to know you work with this guy, right? That defensive coordinator needs to tell the head coach, wherever that is, I can work with Bobby. I could bring him back to where he was 3 years ago. That you want to hear from that defensive coordinator. And rather than just get rid of Bobby right away and say you want to move on, I want the defensive coordinator either to say I believe in him, I could work with him, or you know what, he's not going to fit what I want to do. So I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that'll dictate if Okereke stays or goes.
Is he a free agent?
No, he's got another year. He's getting $5.8 million next year.
It's going to be tough because they're going to have to
free
drop
agent 27. That's not bad. Not bad at all.
I would, me personally, I go with the youth. I draft the linebacker and let Bobby go.
Yeah, but you're so I get it, Craig, but we're so diminished at the middle linebacker position that you can still draft somebody. But it'd be nice to have that veteran in there, especially if you bring back McFadden coming off an injury, right? You feel a little more secure with a veteran. So I don't know. At that, once again, defensive coordinator.
McFadden becomes the veteran.
Of course, but he's also coming off an injury, right? So you just
yeah.
And that's a question mark. I would go with whoever that defensive coordinator is. Would he want to work with them? No, yes, no. Move on. I would take a lot of thought into what that defensive coordinator might want to do.
The only reason why I'm not bringing Bobby back is even if he played, because he's played great the last 2 weeks under Bullen. The only reason I'm not bringing Bobby back is Bobby and McFadden are, they're kind of similar. You know what I mean? Like we need a sideline to sideline guy. You know what I mean? Like we need a guy that can just run. Mm-hmm. Like a big linebacker, like 6'4", 240, like the guy from Denver. You know what I mean? With the long hair, that guy, I forget his name. But like we need a too bad Tibbs can't play inside.
Who's that linebacker for Ohio State? He's like 240. He's might be the best player in the draft. The linebacker for Ohio State?
Yeah, but he's gonna he's gonna go in the someone's gonna draft him in the first round, at the end of the first round.
Oh, you think end of the first round? How about if he was sitting there at 3?
Because then unless you can guarantee me he's Brian Urlacher or Ray Lewis, I don't know how you draft a linebacker with pick 3.
Yeah. Okay.
When you know you need a wide receiver because McNeighbors is on IR.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I get it. I've had people say it to me. I don't know how you draft a linebacker unless someone says to me, "I'm guaranteeing you 10 years of Pro Bowl." I don't know how I can draft a linebacker at pick 3. When I know I need a wide receiver because Wan Dale might not be here and Neighbors might not be ready. I don't know how you pass up one of those receivers from Ohio State or the other cat.
Right. So Bobby Okereke this year, I know a lot of them are, fluff, but he has 75 solo tackles. He does have 137 combo tackles. I mean,
I get it, dude. I get it. But if you go back and look at it, those first 10 games, he's literally just shoving guys out of bounds that are running down the sideline. Mm-hmm. I said it last week. I've been dogging him because, I've never seen him play so bad. And then last week, he finally stood a guy up in the hole, dove out and knocked the pass down for a defended play. Like he hit people last week. Yeah. He hasn't hit anybody.
Craig, my concern with the roster is we're getting rid of so many guys. You need some guys to stay. There's guys leaving in free agency at the whole defensive, a lot of defensive players. So if you can keep Okereke and like Mark alluded to, maybe restructure that contract a little bit less in 2025, give him a little bit more in a bonus to eliminate that hit of almost $6 million. I just feel like so many guys are going. You need a few of your veterans and a few of the guys that do play to stick around.
Well, you got that whole draft class. You got Belton, Bellinger, McFadden. Like you can't lose that whole draft class.
Right. Well, you might. Because Belton doesn't play. Bellinger's probably frustrated.
Well, if you're Bellinger, you want to go.
And
because they've done nothing to try to replace that cat for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I like Theo, but the dude drops everything, and Bellinger doesn't drop anything.
And you're not going to. And if Shane remains, he signed Holland. He's not going to keep Belton too. And I know he drafted him, but he'll let Belton walk because he's got Holland and Newman back there.
And by the way, Belton's your best special teams player.
Yeah,
by far.
Played well. Yeah.
So, well, look, we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Chris, for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We will be back next week with Ryan. Hopefully, again, I don't know. You already lost the first pick, so I'm rooting for another win. Not that I was rooting for a loss, but I like to see him beat the crap out of Dallas because I hate Dallas. Though my tickets might be available because I don't know if I can bring myself to go. Are you going?
No, I'm not.
See,
nope.
They've lost the fan base. We can no longer take it. Can no longer take it. All right, we'll see you guys next week.